Fellow pilot, let me debrief you on my group's first boss fight and how they absolutely trivialized that encounter with sovereign forces. But first, how did we get there? Having just successfully escorted the bus full of civilians through an active battlefield, the team effort squad were rightfully rewarded. As the group began to hastily make repairs on their mechs, the soldiers approached, looking very thankful and very relieved. Thank you so much for getting us through there. We don't have much, but we still have some supplies we were going to use to try and repair the bus, but since you did that for us, we'll give you what we have. Him and the soldiers carry over a large crate of various different mechanical parts, and you can each gain 1 repair bag for your mechs.
Oh shit!
As you guys are sort of quickly doling those out, you guys see that there is like a young girl hanging out the window, and she is like waving to you guys to try and get your attention. The idea to give out extra repairs as a reward actually came from a fellow pilot in the comments of a previous diary, so thank you very much for that idea. Since it's our first time playing Lancer, and I've seen the reputation Solstice Reign has for being a little bit difficult, I wanted to provide our heroes with a little safety net for their first mission. As for the young civilian, our pilots are not particularly fond of children.
I think she wants to talk to us. I'm not great with kids. Anyone good with kids?
Yes.
Oh god, no. Okay.
Yeah. How about someone else handle this, maybe?
What? She seems like she wants to learn, you know?
Leader, it's fine.
Yeah. Well, all right, I guess.
Right.
Just don't fill her head with any cuckoo stuff.
What do you mean cuckoo stuff?
You know what I mean?
I most certainly do not.
Oh wait, look, it's fine. I'll come with you. Don't worry. I'll kind of turn around, just kind of stare, like, what the fuck?
What?
You approach the bus, and the girl looks very shy, but she goes back into the window and then holds out this little stuffed rabbit towards you guys. And she says, "Thank you for saving us," and tries to give you her little stuffed rabbit.
I'll reach up.
Nice.
I'll take the rabbit.
Okay.
I'll stroke its head. Child, I think this. While this rabbit is nice, I think it belongs with you. It kept you safe. It'll continue to do so, especially with the divine blessing I just gave it. I just return the rabbit to her.
Okay. You hand it back to her, and she sort of looks at it. It's lucky. It'll help you. She like holds it back out, trying to give it to you guys.
Yeah, kid, I think the rabbit would be happy with you. Oh, look, I can hear it. Yeah, it definitely says he wants to stay with you. You should keep it.
The kid will nod to herself and smile and go back in the window.
That rabbit was going to be something really useful.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah. Damn, first group to ever turn down free rewards. This little lucky rabbit plush, if they had been willing to accept it, acts like a single-use version of the custom paint job system. If the carrier already has that system, the next time it procs, it automatically rolls a 6 to ignore the structure damage. A very useful reward presented in a way that apparently just didn't sit too well with my players. I guess they aren't a fan of those war movie tropes where the civilian they save gives them a token of thanks. The bus began to head off, making its way to the defense shelter, escorted by soldiers. As the others went ahead, one of the soldiers stayed behind to give Team Effort some final words of advice. Where are you guys heading now?
We're heading to FOB Saber.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
exactly it.
Which direction are you heading?
West, I think?
West.
Yes, further west from here.
Ah, okay. Watch out, there's some kind of artillery in that direction. If you take this path, and he pulls out a map and starts like drawing on a map around like a few different blocks, you might be able to, someone quick and on their own could probably find a faster route through the buildings and maybe get a drop on it. But at the moment, it looks like you're going to be heading straight into it. So just be careful. We appreciate what you've done. I'd like to see you guys struggling.
Well, struggle is what we do.
Do you think someone being quick and on their own is actually a viable option, or would you say they're probably having a suicide mission?
I wouldn't go in on your own, but if you find yourself having to face down the squadron out there, having someone subtly approach from a different angle could definitely be of benefit.
Well,
All
thanks
right,
for the
thanks
suggestion.
for the info there. We'll see what we can do with it.
Gives you guys a nod.
How about your party? Which way are you headed? Are you not headed towards Saber?
No, honestly I don't know what Saber is or where it's going to be. That seems like intel that you guys are using. We're heading north to a safe zone.
Is it
Yeah.
safe for refugees or just safe in general?
It's where we've been piling our refugees. Yeah, we've got several other buses we were lagging behind, and that's how we got into this mess. The others should already be there.
Well, when we get to Saber, if we can divert some protection your way, we will try to do so.
That would be appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, once we get there, we'll kick some ass. You can have everyone, right?
Oh yeah. Everything will be sorted once we're done at Saber.
As long as the same remains on our side, I'm sure there's no slag that can put us down.
Not yet.
Oh, all right. I better catch up. Thank you, guys. Hopefully I'll see you again. With a warning given and advice offered, the soldier ran to catch up with his own people. This left our pilots alone to finish their repairs, and then finish their journey to forward operating base Saber. As they walked, conversation flowed.
I want to look at everyone like over the intercom. So speaking of kids, anyone here got any of the little terrors? I obviously don't.
A couple.
Oh, boys, girls.
2 boys, 1 girl. 2 different marriages.
That's more than a couple.
Ah, well, tomato, tomato.
I didn't see you as the father type. Are you close?
No. I tried at one point, but didn't really work out. But I pay my dues.
Fair enough. And these marriages, hey? You end it, they end it. I'm assuming. Come on, surely you must have been the problem, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Care to elaborate?
Not right now. Maybe we're a couple of
Okay.
beers.
Fair. Anyone else got kids? Feel like now's the time to share since we got a chance.
I don't have any.
I have brought life to many androids like my kind, but I don't think you would recognize that as kids particularly.
Oh shit! How does that work then? Like,
Copy
you-
pasting.
You just build new ones.
When you say copy paste, then I will just stare at you. No, not quite like that, but every android is made with great care and their own personality. I have learned to trade from my father, so it is not particularly like copy pasting, as you would say.
yeah, damn.
Well, that's how we do
Rude.
it.
But kind of like kids.
Yeah,
I
I'd
mean,
say they're kids.
Personality, you know?
I don't know.
Your kids are all
Sometimes it's just-
exactly the same.
I mean, sometimes kids seem kind of diabolical.
Well, I can
Maybe
say
just
that.
your kids. Jesus.
I don't know. Kids can do some crazy stuff.
Well, I gotta say,
Ooh.
I gave my parents a bit of the runaround.
No doubt.
Yeah, I don't think 8-year-old climbing a tree with a knife was really normal kid behavior, but it was fun.
Sounds like normal kid behavior to me.
Really.
Why did you climb the tree with a knife?
Gotta build a den, you know? Get up high, out of the way.
As they traversed the city and chatted, they entered a small courtyard flanked on all sides by tall office blocks. Within the courtyard, they saw the aftermath of a brutal battle. Several mech wreckages littered the area, 2 of them familiar to our heroes. During our opening scenes in episode 1, Sawbones and Archangel were being trained with Megan, call sign Blue Jay. She is an experienced mech pilot and leader of the Team Kill Squad, and she has been training the pair since their first arrival aboard the Rio Grande. While her mech was absent, they did see the destroyed mechs of 2 of her squad members. Upon investigation, the 2 down Union mechs were extremely damaged. They seem to have been bisected by a precise and extremely hot slice. They immediately checked to see if the pilots had made it out, and soon found a deceased corpse in the remains of the cockpit. Whatever had attacked them had made no effort to prevent pilot casualties.
Not a pretty sight over here. Looks like the blade cut through his cockpit. Didn't stand a chance.
Does anyone know what kind of mech could have done that?
While you don't know specific mechs that could do that, they're so diverse that any could, in theory, be built in a way that they could have some kind of scorching weapon. You recall that the reason your dropship went down was because a blinding laser shot through the hull and took off one of the wings. It's what brought you guys down, and
No.
Thinking back on that, looking at these damages, it seems to have been like a straight laser that's cut through. You can see several buildings have like scorched beam marks through it, as though whatever this was didn't just like target this mech, it beamed through the entire area, slicing through buildings, trees, and the mechs. While reading through the Solstice Rain module, I noticed that aside from the initial description during the hot drop, there's really no build up to the final boss of the adventure. That being Colonel Sorvan Kiros and his deadly VSAF X-101 Nemesis. God, that's hard for me to say. I wanted to begin teasing this threat early on and establishing him as a cruel man that does not think twice about killing pilots. Interestingly, after trying to glean more specific information about the laser and failing, they settled on the idea of this being caused by some kind of laser tower in the area. I think maybe the damage was beyond what they thought a mech could achieve. At this point, I decided to throw in another skill challenge, but this time I changed the format a bit. As much as I enjoyed the skill challenge from last episode, my one drawback was that with 6 players, it took a while to play through, and the players began to run out of ideas if they were one of the last ones to choose their way of participating. So this time, I designed a skill challenge which included 3 distinct threats that needed to be handled and had them happen simultaneously. Then I had the players choose which of the threats they wanted to try and resolve and spread themselves out across these threats. In theory, this both encourages teamwork as they try to decide who's best suited for each threat, and it makes their input feel more directly impactful. Before the skill challenge began, I gave the party a chance to detect it ahead of time for a potential bonus to their rolls. I singled out Mother, who, as the hacking expert with the largest sensors, would in theory be more in tune with tiny anomalies, and had her roll a read situation trigger. She noticed several tiny blips moving to surround the group and piling into the buildings that overlooked the courtyard. We did a read situation check and she succeeded, giving the group a warning of the incoming ambush. Mechanically, this means that Mother, and anyone that groups with Mother to deal with one of the threats, gains an accuracy. As for the 3 threats, the first one took the form of sovereign soldiers appearing in the building's rubble with heavy machine guns. They were human-scale weapons, but with enough concentrated fire, they could potentially do some damage. The squad would need to break morale or kill these troops, depending on their preferred approach. The second threat was that of drones. Emerging from atop the buildings and descending were a squad of weaponized attack drones that could cause rapid heat buildup. The party would need to take these drones out of commission. And lastly, there was the threat of repeated attacks and reinforcements. I was open to ideas with this one, but basically they needed to ensure that they wouldn't be harassed continually as they make the rest of their journey to forward operating base Sabre. After some discussion and tactical distribution, we began to resolve each threat. Archangel and Partisan chose to handle the troops directly. The Sovereign forces had opened fire from the ruined building surrounding the courtyard. Partisan decided to deploy tactical explosives, hoping to collapse the building and make it unsafe for the troops to operate from. He rolled a blow something up trigger and got a 3. Meanwhile, Archangel chose to analyze the troops for a perceived leader and wanted to roll a take someone out trigger to kill this commander and break morale. However, he rolled an 8, which meant they both had failed. Archangel opened fire but failed to identify a suitable target. Partisan did blow up the building with relative ease, however, rather than breaking morale, these acts killed several soldiers and caused the remaining soldiers to fight harder, motivated by revenge. Threat 1 had resulted in a failure. The drones descended from above, ready to begin hacking and debilitating Team Effort's mechs. Mother and Sawbones set to work dealing with this threat, and because Mother had succeeded on noticing the ambush, they would both be getting an accuracy dice on their rolls. Mother tried to stay cool under incoming assault and sent out a mass hack to the drones, causing them to lose altitude and spin out of control, hoping to crash them. Sawbones began playing target practice and sniping the drones as they crashed around the area. She used the assault trigger. With a 15 and a 13, both were successful, and drones rained down around Team Effort as they were either immobilized by Mother's hacks or shot out of the sky by Sawbones. This just left Aramis and Jackalope to prevent further attacks. Aramis took flight and began searching for any incoming units they needed to be aware of, while Partisan focused on the entrance paths to the courtyard and stayed aware of what incoming foot traffic they had. They rolled a 15 and a 6, meaning that this was a success and they had cleared the skill challenge. Jackalope tried to stay cool, but as bullets began pinging off his armor, his attention turned more towards keeping everybody safe. However, Aramis successfully scouted the surrounding area and noticed enemy backup approaching. This allowed her to fire off some warning shots and scare away the support. In the following moments, the rest of the soldiers were either killed or retreated. So how did this version of a skill challenge go? Well, my immediate feeling is that it achieved what I had hoped for, in that it was more collaborative and meant each person's input mattered more. The players had a great discussion about their strengths and where they could help most, both mechanically and in RP. It made total sense for, say, Mother to be the one to tackle the drones with her hacking abilities, and this is something that will only improve as they level. Once people start having +4s or +6s in certain triggers, the party might feel comfortable letting them handle a threat area alone, while they tackle the more important ones. Which brings me to where I can develop this further. After running a skill challenge this way, I can really see the benefit of each threat having its own failure punishment, so that the players have to decide what they can risk and where they want to be extra careful. In the example of the one that I just ran, let's say failing to defeat the soldiers means the group takes 2 damage. Failure to defeat the drones means they start the next fight at 3 heat. And failure to prevent further attacks means that the enemy gets to kick off the next combat instead of the players. If I explained these fail states, do you think they'd have distributed themselves differently to give themselves a better chance at success on certain threats? Maybe heat isn't as scary as damage, so they put 3 people on the soldiers and only 1 on the drones. That's going to be my next iteration of this system. Speaking of iteration, I did say after the last skill challenge that I wanted to make sure I rewarded the players for completing these things. So, as the party analysed the wreckage of this short skirmish, they noticed that one of the soldiers in the rubble of the building that Partisan had demoed was still alive but trapped. Perfect for questioning. As you guys are just checking your mechs over, the combat has ended. The soldiers are gone. You're scanning the area, and you see inside one of these buildings, during the explosion from Partisan's demolition of the building, you see that one of the soldiers is still alive. One of his legs seems to be trapped under some rubble, and he's like desperately trying to push it off himself whilst trying to stay somewhat unnoticed by you guys. But you do notice him.
Hey, Sawbones, you know medical stuff, right? Do you want to check him out?
I mean, I can keep him alive. Sure.
Watch your back while you do it.
Okay.
They pulled the soldier free of the rubble and ensured that he wasn't at risk of dying. Then came the time to question him. I'm fucking telling you nothing.
I mean,
Oh,
if you
well.
aren't nice and don't tell us anything, I can just kill you. I'm not out anything, but I think you owe us.
Look, for fuck's sake, either talk to us and then you can get as far away from these people as quickly as possible, or they're probably going to hurt you. I'm probably going to hurt you. We just want to help, right? Look, we already helped you with this. Look at your legs. You'd be dead if it wasn't for us. See, helping. Now you help us.
He looks down at his legs and he looks at the group and he does see that the situation is like escalating a little bit. What do you want to know?
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Well, my first question is, hi, what's your name?
Francis.
Francis, nice to meet you. I'm Laurie. And this lovely gaggle we've got here. We're here on a bit of a trek, right? And your bunch of friends over there, I'm gonna gesture to all the guys, seem to want to stop us going this way. So, Francis, Sport, I'm sure you can tell us why.
You see he's like frustrated, obviously, at the situation. We've got an important unit that direction.
Important. We're an important unit.
Yeah.
So we can also go that direction, right?
I'm not your fucking boss.
I mean, you
What
obviously
about
wanted
the
to
big
stop
laser?
us. Oh yeah, the big laser. Is that the important unit?
No. That's Colonel Sorvan Kiros, leader of the Vestan Special Operations, Unit 33, the Furies. You guys, you might have the better tech, but we know the city. If you run into him, you're as good as dead.
Francis, my friend, for someone who wasn't willing to talk a few minutes ago, you really are giving up a lot of information about your comrades. Okay. Are there
He's just
any
ragging you.
more? Yeah. Are there any others? Any other blockades? Any other ambushes if we keep going this way towards your special unit?
You see, after your comment, he kind of realizes he is giving a little too much up, so he gets a little resistant to further comments. He's like crosses his arms and just glares. General rule of thumb for questioning people: don't sass them about giving you the information that you want. That's probably the fastest way to make them refuse to help you further. But of course, Aramis wasn't very happy with that.
Oh, well, I can see you don't want to talk anymore. Let me just get comfy. And I'll like put my hand on its like fucked up leg and just like press down.
Okay.
Wacky.
Yeah, make another skill check.
Let's break his leg. Meh.
That is a success. He cries out in pain, and through like gritted teeth, we have a C-47 Typhonus in the area. If you keep heading in that direction, you're probably screwed. That thing's it's a mobile missile platform. You can't hide from it. That's all I know.
Okay, well, thank you, Francis. I can't think of anything else to ask you. Anybody else got anything?
Good. No, I'm good.
That's probably everything we're gonna get from him.
They had learned a little bit about the upcoming encounter, as well as been teased about the villain of this adventure. After a brief discussion on whether to kill him or not, and a reminder that they are supposed to be the heroes, they sent the Sovereign Soldier limping away, but not before taking his radio. Mother wanted to use this radio to locate and destroy any nearby comms remotely. While this is a really fun idea, I've been intentionally trying to run Chrysinium as slightly lower on the tech side of things, and I felt that while this wasn't beyond Mother's capabilities, it was beyond what the technology of the planet could achieve. However, what she could do was connect to the signal and force a feedback loop that played loudly through all the radios in the area and allowed team effort to collect and destroy them. This was all to prevent the soldier from radioing in their location. With the situation resolved, team effort returned to their mechs and continued west. It wasn't long before FOB Saber began to ping on their sensors, but between them and the base was one last challenge. They approached a loading bay for rail transportation. Shipping containers and cranes created tall walls. As you get towards this area, you can see that there are quite regular missile strikes going from the ground up towards the dropships that are still trying to land. So as you're heading forwards, you begin to hear not static on the radio, but you know that your communications are currently jammed. The only person who can like freely communicate is Rio, and you begin to hear like panicked screaming that's cutting in and out on the radio. You watch as something in the ahead train yard launches a salvo of missiles at a dropship that's trying desperately to get in towards Operation Base Saber. You see the pilot attempt to evade, but much like the dropship you're in, it takes fire and begins to fall. And moments later, you hear this explosive crash in the distance and a plume of smoke begin to rise. Okay, combat time. This combat doesn't have a specific sitrep, as it's essentially a hit job. The primary target is an elite veteran Rainmaker with Hades missiles and lightning reflexes. It's not alone, of course, as it's guarded by an elite Commander Sentinel, as well as a Hive, an Archer, a Spectre, a Ronin, and 2 Grunt Assaults. Team effort needed to wipe the field, but especially the Rainmaker. They're coming into this battle with 2 nice advantages due to their previous successes. Because they won Combat 1, they have an unused barrage reserve capable of dealing 3d6 damage in a large area. Because they beat Combat 2, one of them gets to enter through a secret side entrance that gives them near immediate line of sight on the Rainmaker. Let's see how they did in their first pseudo boss fight. The fight began as Jackalope took the initiative and hurried from the solo eastern deployment zone to get the Rainmaker and the Ronin in sight. He pulled out the communicator they had found right after landing and called in an enemy airstrike right on the pair of mechs. There is no counter roll for this, so the damage was unavoidable. The barrage impacted, dealing 10 damage. This badly hurt the Ronin, but it was enough to immediately break structure on the Rainmaker. It rolled its structure damage and lost its missile pods. This was devastating. The Rainmaker only has 1 weapon, and they have a range of 20. They're arcing, they're reliable, they have knockback, and most importantly, they can hit up to 3 targets per attack. This weapon is the only reason the Rainmaker is able to sit behind the train and cause widespread panic and urgency. And now it was gone before even getting the chance to be used. For the party, this was about as perfect as this initial turn could have gone. The Rainmaker can activate twice a round, so for this first activation it surrounded itself with javelin rockets, creating a wall of deterrence from potentially approaching hostiles. Honestly, having just lost its main offensive capabilities left me a little unsure of how to use it. Archangel moved and boosted to climb a 3-height container, then dropped a smoke grenade on himself to create soft cover. The Spectre began to pursue the group. It moved and then prowled to become hidden. And since the Spectre is always invisible, that made its approach much safer. Partisan activated their hyperspec fuel injector and rushed along the western edge with a move, a boost, and a free boost, ending in cover and firing his howitzer at the Archer and the Spectre. The Spectre avoided it thanks to its invisibility flat check, but the Archer was hit. The Assault on the right moved and boosted into hard cover, and then blasted Jackalope for 6 damage. Sawbones made for the crane. She also used her hyperspec fuel injector so that she can get as far as possible. After all of her moves and boosts, she ended her turn 3 height up the 5 height crane. The Archer tried to prevent the group from approaching. It suppressed Partisan, meaning that if he moves, it'll get to shoot him, and it then also did shoot him right now for 5 damage. Mother's mech has manipulators installed, so she made for the plate control panel. She moved and boosted down the middle corridor, and then hacked the Archer with the classic impair and slow. The Ronin tried to cut Mother off, so it moved and boosted behind the console, and since it lacks any ranged weaponry, it just locked onto Mother. Aramis also activated their hyperspec fuel injector, and then followed behind Mother to provide a bit of protection. She slotted into some hard cover, and then shot the Ronin with her shotgun. The remaining Assault moved and boosted, and then shot at Mother, consuming the lock-on but still missing, so only dealing reliable damage. The Hive moved towards our heroes, but since they were still out of Sensor's range, it instead blocked off the western path past the train with its Razor Swarms. The Sentinel took its first activation to move down, lock onto Jackalope, and then enter Eye of Midnight for once per turn Overwatchers. It then immediately took its second activation and moved further south. It bolstered the Assault Grunt, and then couldn't really do anything else from here. Lastly was the Rainmaker's second activation, and all it could really do was redeploy its Javelin rockets, so that's what it did. By the end of round 1, things have gone very well for Team Effort. By making that initial strike on the Rainmaker and getting lucky with weapon trauma, they've managed to really trivialize this battle. Instead of having the Rainmaker constantly wearing them down and putting pressure on them to quickly move up, the players have been able to move carefully and strategically. They all seemed really calm and in control, which is obviously a good thing because it means the players were having a lot of fun. At this point, I didn't have a new strategy for the Rainmaker, but I knew that it couldn't sit back anymore and it needed to get directly involved in the combat. It needs a line of sight for its Javelin rockets, and its only directly offensive system has a recharge of 5+, so I can't rely on that either. It had to move up. There haven't been any NPC kills yet, but there have been some excellent initial damage spread around. Jackalope kicked us off again, and this time barraged. He killed the Assault Grunt with his reliable assault rifle, and then fired his mortar at the Sentinel, but missed. He began to move down away from the enemies. The Archer opened fire on Partisan, but missed. Luckily, it has reliable 3. It then locked onto Aramis. Partisan wanted to heal, so he activated and stabilized to heal and reload his howitzer. He then overcharged to fire it. While the attack did miss both targets, between both rounds of attacks, he had done enough damage to destroy the terrain that the Archer was stood on. So while the weapon itself didn't deal any damage, the fall dealt 3 damage to the Archer. The remaining Assault Grunt fired at Aramis using the lock-on but still missing. It then reapplied the lock-on. Archangel used his steady aim protocol for a +1 accuracy and then fired his anti-material rifle at the Archer. Sadly, even with the +2 accuracy, this was a miss, so he sadly dropped another smoke grenade at his feet to retain the soft cover. The Ronin rushed into melee with Aramis, avoiding an overwatch as it boosted, and then hit her with its sword. Because it had boosted, it was now in soft cover. Aramis retaliated with her own melee attack, destroying the Ronin. She then finished her barrage with a Hunter-Killer Nexus, killing the Assault Grunt too. The Hive hurried south and boosted into hard cover. It tried to hack Aramis and succeeded. Since it was using its drone barrage, she had to pick whether to be immobilized and impaired, or to move 5 spaces of the Hive's choosing. Fearing the Spectre, she chose to be debuffed. Mother moved closer and then activated her core system, the Advanced Intrusion package. This lets her make a tech attack against all NPCs within Sensor's range, which was all of them. The only NPC to avoid this was the Spectre because it was currently hidden and as such untargetable. The Archer was dragged next to the Spectre and knocked prone. the Hive was moved out of cover and knocked prone. The Sentinel was pulled out of cover too and knocked prone, and the Rainmaker was moved and knocked prone behind the train. My next turn was going to be pretty restrained, apparently. The Spectre was the only one untouched, and the only one who could act on Mother being accessible. It moved and prowled over to Mother, and then it swung its Moonwire sword at her, but annoyingly it did miss, leaving it temporarily targetable. Sawbones finished climbing to the top of the crane and successfully operated it. She lifted the crane to the south of Jackalope, giving him an escape route. She then launched a mortar at the Sentinel, actually hitting. Good job, Sawbones. The Sentinel stood up, used a quick action to turn off Eye of Midnight, and then boosted closer to Aramis and Mother, putting them in Overwatch range. I then got a little confused about how many actions I'd used, so I illegally shot Aramis. Sorry. This attack did deal structure damage, but luckily her custom paint job procced, so not the worst outcome for my mistake though. The Rainmaker stood up, boosted, and bolstered the Hive. It then activated again, and this time it spread out a new spread of Javelin rockets and bolstered the Sentinel. That was the end of round 2. Team Effort have cleared 3 enemies off the field now and begun hurting some of the scarier threats. With the Rainmaker heavily neutered, the Spectre and the Sentinel were the big threats now, and that's where their attention needed to focus. A larger skirmish was forming in the centre, leaving Aramis and Mother pretty outnumbered, so hopefully the rest of their team can make their way over to help out during this next round. My strategy was now going to be isolating and bullying Mother and Aramis, and hopefully that might put the pressure on the rest of the team to intervene. The group have been very successful so far, but the fight is far from over. Partisan kicked off round 3 by rushing the Archer, although he was suppressed, which meant he took the Archer's shot first, but it did miss him. He reached the Archer and barraged it, smashing it apart in 2 melee attacks. The Spectre took its first action to lock onto Mother, and then it struck her with its monowire sword. Because Mother was not adjacent to any other characters, its Hunt trait increased the damage from 5 to 10, meaning Mother took structure damage. This meant that she lost her Jericho deployable cover. The Spectre then retreated towards Partisan, which did allow Aramis to deal a little bit of damage to it. Aramis then activated and stabilized, she healed herself, and she cleared the impaired condition from herself. The Rainmaker moved closer to the main battle with a move and a boost, and then it redistributed its Javelin rockets to block the path forwards. In hindsight, this is an illegal placement, as they can't be adjacent to each other. Man, there's so much to remember when you GM this game for the first time. Sawbones launched a mortar hitting both the Rainmaker and the Hive. She then finished her barrage with an assault rifle on the Sentinel. The Sentinel used its quick march protocol to allow the Spectre to move and close the distance on Partisan. It then locked onto Aramis and shotgunned her. Jackalope hurried along the southern edge of the containers and fired his mortar at the Rainmaker and the Hive, hitting both. This dealt pretty heavy damage. He then boosted closer. The Hive used its drone barrage on Mother, and she chose to be impaired and immobilized rather than being forced to move into those Javelin rockets, which was the right choice, honestly. It then repositioned and used its Seeker Cloud in a 5-size cone. This only caught Mother in the area, and she did manage to avoid it. Archangel leapt to an adjacent building and closed in on the fight. He locked onto the Rainmaker and then fired his assault rifle, but sadly this missed due to the hard cover. Not content with this outcome, he overcharged, taking 6 damage and leaving him 1 away from stress damage. He fired his assault rifle again, this time hitting and breaking the Rainmaker's second structure. The Rainmaker rolled a direct hit and became instantly destroyed, losing an entire extra health bar. This poor Rainmaker has been utterly embarrassed during this fight. The Sentinel took its second turn, and since it no longer had anything specific to protect, it moved forwards and locked onto Aramis. It then shot her, but the hard cover made it miss. Mother finished up the round by deploying a turret drone and placing lock-on the Sentinel. That was the end of round 3, and now there are only 3 enemies left. The Sentinel is still in pretty good shape, all things considered, but the Hive was pretty vulnerable, and the Spectre needed to go back into hiding. Our heroes, on the other hand, looked great. There'd been a little bit of structure damage on Mother, but all in all, this fight was going very smoothly. Suffering through those early fights and making a big splash in the final fight of the mission had honestly worked out pretty well for them. I guess I won't need to go easy on them for mission 2. The Spectre hit Partisan with its monowire sword, and since he was alone, this dealt 10 damage. It then used Prowl to move away without Overwatch attacks and become hidden. Sawbones shuffled closer to get the Spectre in range and then fired her mortar at the area. It would have been a hit, but the invisibility flat check forced it to be a miss. She then finished her barrage by shooting at the Hive. The Sentinel used its quick march protocol to move the hive closer and then rushed Mother. It did take an Overwatch attack from Aramis and some turret drone damage too, and then it attacked Mother with its retractable sword. This was a miss, as was the shotgun attack on Aramis. Partisan tried to flee the Spectre, but he took an Overwatch attack from it. This broke his structure, and a direct hit left him stunned, which ended his turn. The Sentinel barraged again, first hitting Mother with its sword, and then it fired its shotgun at Aramis, which missed. Aramis used her projected shield protocol to create a barrier between her and the Sentinel. She then fired at the hive with her shotgun, critting and placing her Exemplar's mark on it. She finished her barrage against the hive with her Hunter-Killer Nexus, critting again and killing the hive. Archangel quickly stabilized to cool his mech and reload, as well as moving forwards. Mother deployed a new drone and then shot at the Sentinel with her thermal rifle. This dealt structure damage and it lost Eye of Midnight. She then tried to make a break for it, moving back south, and she did take a sword strike from this. Jackalope moved towards the main fight and mortared the Spectre, although it was a miss. Then they boosted closer. During round 4, Team Effort had killed the hive and removed a structure from the Sentinel. A few of their members were a little battered, mostly the ones that had tangled with the Spectre, but at this point, this is essentially a cleanup. The Spectre went straight in for a monowire attack against the stunned Partisan, which somehow missed. It then prowled in its embarrassment to become hidden. Mother placed a lock-on on the Sentinel and then tried to search for the hidden Spectre. This was a contested roll of her systems against the agility of the Spectre. She rolled a 20, and it rolled a 19. The Spectre was revealed. The Sentinel moved in to engage Aramis. She did try and overwatch it, but she missed. It then barraged, starting with a retractable sword strike on Aramis, which hit, and a shotgun on Mother, which also hit. This made Mother take structure damage. She had already lost structure, so she rolled twice and took the lower, a direct hit. Since she was moving into structure 2 out of 4, this meant that a direct hit was a hull check, to be stunned on a success or destroyed on a failure. She rolled a 9, and Mother's Princess of Eternity mech was destroyed. Aramis went in for revenge and barraged. She hit the Sentinel with her staff and then shotgunned him. This also applied Exemplar's mark. But the Sentinel took its second turn. It moved away a short distance from Aramis and then locked on and shotgunned her. This hit Aramis, breaking her structure, but luckily she rolled a glancing blow. The Sentinel then moved further away, and then I was basically at the mercy of the remaining players. Archangel activated their steady aim protocol and took a shot at the Sentinel with his anti-material rifle. It hit, and he finished his barrage with an assault rifle. This did miss, but Aramis used her Valiant Aid reaction to reroll the missed attack, and this time it hit. Archangel then overcharged, taking 7 heat and a stress damage. This left him impaired, but he could still make his attack. But it was a miss, but the Reliable then left it at 1 hit point. Jackalope moved up and barraged, first with his mortar against both the remaining NPCs. This put the Sentinel on its last structure, and it lost its retractable sword. The second attack was an assault rifle shot on the Spectre, which hit and killed. Partisan was stunned, so he did nothing. Sawbones mortared the Sentinel, missing, but Aramis used Valiant Aid to reroll the attack, and it then hit. And Mother crawled from the wreckage of her mech and moved into cover. That was the end of round 5. With how well the party have been doing, it was really surprising to see Mother's mech go down. But that does go to show that you're always just a couple of bad rolls away from losing your mech. Thankfully, this was the final battle, so she didn't have to struggle on without a mech throughout the mission. The Sentinel is our final survivor and is down to its last health bar, so this fight is all but finished. I let the players finish it out so they could have their fun and we could see who gets that final kill. The Sentinel moved to get Jackalope in range and then shot him. I rather stupidly tried to lock on when he already had lock on and accidentally took the lock on off, which is very dumb, don't do that. And then Partisan chased the Sentinel, moving, specifically boosting outside of its Overwatch range, and then fell on it with a barrage of melee attacks. The first hit, the second crit, and the final Sovereignty mech was felled. So how did our first final fight go? It feels weird calling it a boss fight since boss enemies don't feel like a thing in Lancer, maybe I'm wrong. Regardless, through conservative gameplay and pretty awesome luck, my party was able to really trivialize the primary threat of this fight. Having the Rainmaker lose its best offensive option in the very first turn of the fight removed a huge amount of fear from the encounter. In one sense, you could say that this meant it failed as a final mission combat as the build-up didn't go anywhere, However, my GMing style leans more towards being a cheerleader for my players. I love seeing them do awesome stuff and succeed, even if I have to pretend to be annoyed in the moment to let them feel like they're pulling one over on me. So while the build-up didn't reach this threatening peak, instead it burst into this joyous release of tension, where the players could let loose and be the bullies for a change. Some of the enemy mechs from their previous battles felt like these walls that the party was struggling to climb, but in this fight, the players were the walls that the NPCs crashed into. And that just feels great as a player. In that regard, I'm really quite happy about how this fight went. After the battle, there was the small issue of Mother having lost her mech. Aramis went over to check how she was doing.
You're right, that was close.
You did a good job there. I'm glad I made it out.
Hey, I'm sorry about your mech. She was a good one. Maybe we can salvage something.
We can
Hey.
probably get her up and running.
Yeah, Alice, do you reckon we could grab something?
Is stumbling around in the background.
We will see on
Hey.
the ship what we can do, but yeah, she fought her best.
Yeah, I've seen them come back from worse than this.
Really? I mean, she's kind of fucked. But yeah, positive, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're both Theseus, right?
Well, anyway, I think we have still a mission to complete.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tight in here, but maybe do you want to lift? Maybe you could ride on the back of Jackalope's shoulders, maybe?
I think there should be enough space for me. I will just casually walk over and just
Gonna
start
pick you up.
climbing your
No,
mech.
I'm-
I will obviously, I will hunker down and give you an easier time to get up.
Like, ah, what's climbing my leg? Ah!
Ah,
And, like, pick it
what
up.
does this tanker do?
Wait. Since Aramis, the mech, has the hands, if you look at the model, they're not really attached. Can you just boost me up?
Like a lift.
Yeah, just, oh my god, yeah, I'll disconnect my arm, put it on the ground, and be like, hop on. Pew!
I would, in a very... You know how back in the day women had to ride on horses, sideways?
Yes!
I would go like that.
The party made the rest of the walk to FOB Sabre without encountering any further resistance. The sun is setting by the time you finally reach the coordinates on your tag map with Novalesia's industrial district. The sprawling complex is abuzz with activity, people moving pallets of supplies from one area to another, squads of soldiers jogging by on their way to rally points or returning from patrols, industrial cargo loaders trundling along with prefabricated fortifications to shore up perimeter defenses. As soon as you get within shooting distance, your systems are bombarded by automated identification queries, and just as quick, your IFF codes are transmitted and authenticated. A dozen targeting warnings vanish off your sensors, and the defenses around the base stand down. And for the first time since you landed on Crescedium, you feel like you can finally relax, even if it is just for the moment. Through your screens, you see Staff Sergeant Garcia waving you over. I see you hotshots took the scenic route, but it's good to see you all the same. We've still got units scattered all across the city. It's a real hell of a mess. For right now, follow Vona. He gestures to a well-built woman standing nearby. She'll show you to the repair bay and get your chassis squared away. And then after that, we'll get some food in you. Welcome to Forward Operating Base Sabre.
Excellent.
Thanks. Happy to be here. Hope you'll be a bit more welcoming than what was out there, eh?
They give you a nod, and Vona, the woman, heads on over to you guys. Hello, I'm Vona. I'm in charge of the mech repairs. So if you follow me, we'll get you guys set away and get you guys to work. Get your mechs to work, getting fixed up a bit. Looks
We
like
have one that's needs a bit more than being fixed up.
Oh, right.
Yeah, shouldn't make it. We salvaged what we could, but we'd appreciate a new one as soon as possible, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course. You're lucky. This is the only place on the planet with one of your fancy mech printers. During the negotiations, one of your ambassadors brought one down to show off what we could be offered in terms of technology. So we've got the thing working overtime. We'll get you a new mech and we'll get yours fixed up in no time.
Oh, amazing. Couldn't be without our best hacker.
Of course not.
For sure. There any beer around here?
We got a cantina, kind of making do as a mess hall. You might be able to find something around there.
Oh, excellent.
There's plenty to see and, well, not much to do around here, so enjoy your stay, I guess. As she leads you through the complex, you see that this was once some kind of car manufacturer factory. And it's been very quickly and impromptuly turned into this rally point, as it seems to be large enough to house these mechs and have various defensible points. And it's also, because of this being a factory, that Ambassador Banerjee had a single GMS Schedule 1 printer delivered to show off the capabilities that Union could provide. And you will definitely be hijacking that. As you're making your way through this complex to the sort of the back of the hangar where they're repairing the mechs, you see that not many have made it. You guys would recognize that there is a mech that belongs to Blue Jay, who was the one training Archangel and Sawbones at the beginning, and part of that squad that you guys found had been ambushed. Notably, her mech was missing, and as you look on it, half the mech has been carved through by that same laser, and the cockpit has been carved through at a brutal angle. If she did make it back here, which you're not sure of, looking at the state of her mech, it is a miracle if she managed to keep that mech running long enough to make it here. But potentially that's something that you guys can look into during your downtime, which we will do next time. As for right now, we are going to level you guys up. Mission 1 of Solstice Raid completed, rather flawlessly. Our players have leveled up, and I'll be releasing a short video soon revealing what licenses they picked and how their loadouts have changed. The next campaign diary will be for the downtime in FOB Saber, and then we'll jump back into the second mission of this module. Thank you so much for watching. These diaries are a blast to make, so thank you so much for watching and enjoying them. I've got my usual links in the description. You can like and sub if you want to. But that is all for today. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.